Okay, welcome to pathway number 2. We're going to be talking about the core 8 feelings. We'll dive into that here in a second, but I want to kind of set us up once again. We've just finished talking about the spiritual anatomy, right? And this is what undergirds our life, right? These are all operating inside of us. And once we have that, now it's time to learn to live with healthy hearts. Boom. The thing about our crazy feelings and our crazy thoughts, as I've kind of called them there, we have feelings, we have thoughts that are going inside of us, and sometimes they feel crazy. At worst, they're painful and they disrupt our life. At best, they're a nuisance, right? The thing about them is, though they are different, they are connected at the hip. So, unfortunately, and developing the heart part of us is not something that necessarily organically happens in our kind of overarching culture. We're a lot of mind and strength people, right? That's kind of what's going on here. And so, though the focus is primarily on thoughts in culture, and that's really important, but we need to remember that thoughts and feelings are connected at the hip. They work together here. So we can't really make any real process into turning down that internal noise and moving to a space of healing and freedom and connection with God and others when we don't know what's going on in our hearts and how to respond to what's going on in our hearts in healthy ways. Now, the good news within all of this is that there's a very simple framework other really smart people have put together that we can then use and begin to practice this in our life. Because our thoughts and our feelings are connected together, we can take care of our thoughts. There's a lot of stuff out there about that, but now we're learning how I take care of my feelings because they work together like this. So with that, let's dive into what we're going to do with the 8 core feelings. So first, the plan. My screens weren't working there for a second. Sorry about that. Okay, here we are. The plan. So first, we're going to talk about how feelings work. We're going to go into what the core 8 are. We're going to go pretty deep down on how they work. I'll set us up with the simple thing, of course. We'll go deeper from there. And with that, you'll have a really cool understanding about what's going on inside of you and what you can do with them. But remember, that's only information. That doesn't make any transformation happen. So then we're going to end, the second thing here is with a simple exercise. You're going to be able to then address your feelings, connect with your heart, and then begin to allow those feelings to guide you to life and not something negative, not be deceitful, as we talked about previously. So that's the plan. Let's just dive right into the core 8. So these are the core 8 feelings. This comes from Dr. Chip Dodd. He's kind of really known for his work around this and his book, The Voice of the Heart. Phenomenal book if you want to go read it. And basically the idea here is that these 8 feelings here, these are the core 8, and the idea is these are the only 8 feelings you've got, which is a pretty audacious statement to make. I'd like you to think of them as friends, or maybe they're kind of like guides. And if you're willing, they will lead you to life. Now, you have to be willing, of course. So before we get to anything further, I want to make a space to pause and allow you to reflect on these feelings here. When you look at these, what do you notice? When you look at these, what questions comes up as you think about them? What concerns do you have when you look at these feelings? What's it like for you to hear me say, hey, these are the only 8 feelings you got? So go ahead, pause the video and just reflect on that for a second. And then we'll dive into some of the questions here in a moment. Okay, so some of the things that people often say when they see this, the very first one is they're like, hey man, there's 7 bad feelings here and only 1 good one, right? Oh man, I know what anger and hurt and lonely and sad and fear and shame and guilt feel like, and I don't like it. Those are bad. But glad, I like feeling glad. That must be the good one. The other thing that people often say is like, I've got way more than 8 feelings. What do you mean there's only 8? Like, that's ridiculous. It's so narrow and limited, and it's way more mysterious, ambiguous than that. How can we say there's only 8? That was a really good question there. The other one that I know I don't actually feel this way. I never thought of this until I heard somebody else say it, but I started teaching this stuff, and a few people have said this, so I just want to hit it here. Is the question might be, love's not on there. Why isn't love on there? So before we go deep, let's start with the basics. So the basics when it comes to feelings, this is what we need to know. When you look at these 8, there are no good feelings and there are no bad feelings in this list. They're just there. They're neutral. They're neither good nor bad. They're neither right nor wrong. They're neither true nor false. They're not moral. They're not ethical. They just exist. The things with feelings is you either got them or you don't got them. They're there or they're not there, right? We're going to talk about how feelings can become good or can become bad, but at their root, at their core, they are just neutral. They're neither good nor bad. So we're going to dive into that in a second. The other thing here is it's like, well, I have way more than 8 feelings. It's like, yeah, of course, that totally makes sense. What I like to do is think about these as primary colors, right? So if you're not familiar, primary color is red, blue, and yellow. These are like the 3 basic colors. Now, you can mix these colors together to make an infinite number of other colors. And so just like this, these are kind of our basic colors when it comes to our feelings. So these are the core 8, and they can be mixed together to create an infinite number of expression of emotion. And so you're not like limited to this. In fact, this is revealing and exposing so much more for you. But just like the core, just like the basic colors there, the color palette. If you're ever editing a photo or something, you'll see red, blue, and yellow is like the different dials that you can change in a photo. What they do is they're the basic, they're the root, they're the bottom, and this is what the core 8 are here. So though your emotional expression might look like all 8 of them mixed together at once, and you might use a different word to describe it, which is totally appropriate and okay, what's going on inside of your heart and the needs that are coming out of that are going to be connected to one of these core 8, which is very important here. The next thing here, like, why isn't love on there? This really isn't worth diving into. It becomes a bit of a philosophical question, theoretical question, and it just doesn't actually serve us. It's not very helpful. So the simple thing I'll say on it here is that love is not a feeling. First off, when we read, this is all set up off of the Shema. Love the Lord your God with your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. So we're meant to love God, ourselves, and others with our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so we're talking about heart right now. That's just one of those things. So if love is a feeling, well, then how do I love with action? So now love's an action as well, right? So love isn't a feeling in that regard. We could go so far into there. What I'd like to leave you with just here is that love probably has a lot more to do with the feeling of attunement, the experience of attunement, which we're going to talk about in Pathway 3. So don't get ahead of ourselves. If you can, just set that aside for now and stick right here with these core 8. These are the ones that matter the most, okay? Now, like I said at the beginning here, is the thing with feelings is you don't get to choose your feelings. You've either got them or you don't got them. They're either there or they're not. When we say what feelings are true inside of you, what we're saying is, does it exist? Does it correspond to reality? Like if I feel hurt, I feel hurt, It might not be a big deal. I don't need to judge it. I don't need to make it a moral situation. I just was walking around the room. I accidentally kicked a table or a chair as I walked by, and it hurt a lot for 10 seconds. And then on with my day, and it was fine. It's still true that it hurt. I didn't make a judgment. I didn't quantify it. I didn't qualify it. I just let it exist. Like, that hurt when I kicked the table. And so that's exactly what we're doing with our feelings here. You've either got it or you don't got it. And if you have a feeling inside of you, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a true experience. It's a real experience. I have this feeling happening inside of me. The question is, what then do I do with it? Which is where we're going to go further from here. Before we get there, though, there's one thing we need to understand. Oh, there's your invitation of considering these feelings. The thing we need to understand before we dive into what to do with feelings is to talk about charge. So you can see this little graph here. We have 0 to 10. And this is going to be the felt expression of our feelings inside of us. This is how loud the feeling is inside of us. This is how strong the feeling is inside of us. This is how charged up that feeling is inside of us. And so you'll see on the right side here, you see high charge, right? You see that 10. So 7 to 10 range there is like, I've got my feelings, and the higher I go on that number, I don't know if I've got them or if they've got me. To 10 there is like, I don't have my feelings. My feelings have me. They're in control. They're motivating how I'm going to respond and how I'm going to react. I'm out of control. I'm going to go jump off the bridge. I'm going to punch a hole in the wall. I'm going to throw a chair through the window. I've almost done that. I'm going to crash the car. I'm going to punch someone in the face. Like, that's a charge 10 feeling. It's so strong that I'm no longer in control. It's in control of me. Okay. Now on the other side, we have low charge, that 3 down to 0. And that's where I'm not really sure if I have feelings. Maybe they're there. Maybe I can kind of become aware at a 3 and like, oh, there might be something I'm feeling there. And in a 0, it's like I'm just deflated. I'm numb. I don't feel anything. I'm depressed, which is a feeling. But I mean that in the sense of like, I'm just not aware that the feelings are even there, completely flat. Now in the middle, you can see window of tolerance, that 4 to 6 range. This is really important because you cannot do any good, healthy feelings work if you don't feel your feelings. But you don't want them to take charge and run your life and ruin your life for you. What we want to do is I want to have my feelings and not have them have me. And that's that window of tolerance. I can tolerate the feelings that I have inside of me right now. I can be angry with you and it's not ruining relationship. In fact, it can invite closer relationship. I can feel lonely with you. Same thing. Instead of it meaning I'm running away from relationship or I'm accusing you for why I'm lonely, I can draw near because I have my feelings and they don't have me. So all of this work needs to happen within that window of tolerance. If my charge is too high, it's not time to do feelings work. You know, there's the other day I was super high charge. I was feeling some fear, some shame, and some anger. And I kept trying to push through it until I became self-aware. I was like, oh, dude, like your charge is like an 8 right now, 8, 9. Like you can't do this. You need to bring that charge back to that window of tolerance. And so if your charge is high, before you do feelings work, you need to work back to that window of tolerance. And the way that we do that is by getting out of our heart and our head and moving into our body. So that looks like, in my example here, I went for a walk. It was sunny and a little breezy. So feeling the sun on my skin is very bodily sensation. Feeling the breeze blow against my body, right? Just even the light on my eyeballs. I'm getting into my body and I'm walking. So now there's like the right side, left side of my brain connection as my body's moving. A bunch of really cool science around that. And that helps me bring that charge from a 9 to an 8 to a 7 to a 6, maybe to a 5, right? And I still feel my anger, my fear, my shame, but they're not running and ruining my life anymore. They don't got me, I got them. So going for a walk, taking a hot or cold shower, hot or cold tub, maybe eating something even, doing some push-ups, a workout, yoga, stretching is what I mean. What would be another example of that? I love riding a mountain bike. The flow of that just, it's such a bodily experience, and we're embodied beings. And so that's how we move into that window of tolerance. My feelings aren't running the show. Now, if you're on the low charge side of things, you can't do heart work, you can't do feelings work if you don't feel them. So you need to begin to move from that numbed, impaired state, or that I don't feel a lot, into I can feel my feelings again. They're not in control. I still got control, but I can feel them. This looks like reflecting on a situation or experience and imagining it. What are the sensations like? What did it smell like? What did it sound like? What did it look like? Maybe in a journal, maybe it's sharing with a friend. This is what happened. Hearing someone else reflect to you what they think and what they feel. That can help you begin to move from a low charge into that window of tolerance space. And from there, then you can actually do the feelings work. I feel like I went a little bit deep on charge there, but it is important, so I did want to hit on it. From here, what I want to talk about is how feelings work from here. Why they're neutral and how they can become good or they can become bad. So here's a chart. I'm gonna open the whole thing up. You're gonna see it here in a second, but I want to narrow in and not have you get too distracted. So in the center, obviously we have the core 8 feelings are right there. And then on the left side, we have kind of what happens when we don't get those needs met in a healthy way, when we suppress those feelings, stuff them down, avoid feeling them. We don't give them space in our life. We have what we call this impairment and a curse is what can happen. This is the bad side of feelings. This is the heart being deceptive, right? That so many people just think is the only thing the heart can do. And then on the other side here, we have what happens in the good sense. This is when our feelings that all have needs, which we'll talk about in a second, we get those needs met in a healthy way. What happens is we receive a gift out of that. That's the good thing. So all these feelings might not feel good necessarily, but if we let them lead us to life in a healthy way, they will feel really good in the future. So let's go into some examples. Here's a net neutral feeling. None of these are bad. None of these are good. They're just neutral. What can happen though is when we stuff that feeling down, we suppress it, we ignore it, we don't get the need met in a healthy way, we get the need met in an unhealthy way, it can turn into these, what we call impairments. They kind of devolve, if you think. So I'll use hurt as an example. So hurt has just been, I've been harmed physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. So if I've been harmed, stub my toe on the table, for example, I'm going to feel hurt. Now, if I don't get my need of the need of my hurt met in a healthy way, it can turn into resentment. And so this is like when you feel that resentment towards somebody going through your head, it's just an indicator, hey, you got some hurt with them that needs some healing, needs to be taken care of. That resentment will then buzz around until that need gets met in a healthy way. And if it doesn't, we're going to keep pushing it down. We're going to keep almost feeding that resentment and those, oh, they should have done this and they could have done that, and I'm angry with them, and like the resentment chaos kind of goes on inside. That tornado is there. And if that thing stays and it continues to devolve even more, what it turns into is then revenge. Revenge is, I'm going to make you hurt like I hurt. And you can see how that works. I got hurt here. I've got some resentment stuff going on inside of me. That doesn't get healed. I don't get the attention I need. That doesn't get resolved. And so now the only way to get what I want, what my hurt needs right now, is I'm going to move into revenge. I'm going to make you hurt like I hurt. Of course, that doesn't actually get us anywhere other than the false satisfaction of revenge, right? So let's use another example here. I'll use, how about shame? Shame is such a good one to talk about because people, most of the time, you have Brene Brown and lots of others, it's like, shame is bad, shame. Like they just don't, there's no space for shame to be a gift, right? And so when I'm talking about shame here and inside of this, I'm talking about it in a neutral sense. And the neutral sense is that shame just shows me my limitations. I'm not more than human, I'm not less than human. I am a human. And I can't do it all, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to feel some shame about that, and that's okay. That's not bad. When it becomes bad is when it moves into the impairment here, which is toxic shame. So what all those people out there in the books and all the things on the internet, what they're talking about is toxic shame. That's what they're getting at, which is, I'm a piece of trash. I shouldn't have ever been born. Who am I to think I could even say something or do something in the world? Or, man, I'm better than everyone else, and I'm going to work 100 hours a week. What's the total hours you can work in a week? Whatever. More than humanly possible. I'm a superhero. No one's like me. Those are both sides of those are toxic shame statements. I'm either more than human, I'm a superhero, or I'm less than human, and I'm a piece of trash, and whatever it might be. So that's when shame devolves into that impairment. Now, if it stays there, we don't get the healthy or the need of shame met in a healthy way, it's going to go down into the curse of utter isolation, which is like, why would you want to hang out with me? I'm a piece of trash. I'm just be utterly isolated. Or I'm so much better than you, and you're not worth my time and my energy, right? Those are both really unhealthy, toxic shame approaches that end in that utter isolation. So I could go through all of these, but they're pretty self-explanatory. You might have questions on there, but I'm available for more conversations, and there's books and things you go deeper on the information. But let's get into more of what's going to create actual relief in you, which is moving to the need and the gift of these feelings. So let's go back to hurt. If I feel hurt, the need of my hurt is attention. And if I can get that need met in a healthy way, it's going to lead to the gift of healing and courage. So here's an example. I was with a friend of mine, and he's got two little kids, 1 and 3, or actually she's 4 now, so 1 year and 4 years old. And they were just kind of playing on the living room carpet, and I don't remember why, but he was like on his hands and knees spinning around in a circle pretty violently. I think his 1-year-old thought it was hilarious, and so he's just over there giggling and laughing. And his 4-year-old, who's like this really ambitious, like pretty gnarly little girl, she thinks it looks really fun. So she wants to run into the fray and start joining dad and spinning around in the circle. But he doesn't see this happening because he's spinning in a circle. So as he comes around, his daughter runs in and his foot just, boom, hits her in the face super hard, like knocks her to the ground a few feet. Like it was brutal, man. And of course he's like, oh my gosh, like immediately goes, he scoops her up, he's holding her, she's crying. And what does he do? oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Tell me where it hurts. What happened? Oh, it's like right here. And oh, yeah. She's saying it hurts, it hurts. And he's like, I know, I'm so sorry. That must have hurt so bad. How do you feel? Tell me more. He's giving her what? Attention. He's holding her. He's being kind with her. He's apologizing with her as a dad, right? And that goes on for a few minutes, right? Her tears keep going. They're rolling down her cheeks. And then eventually, she's gotten enough of the need of her hurt met. She starts chuckling. She starts like cry laughing. She's like, like she's like back and forth because she's seen the comedy of it. Like, oh, dad was spinning in a circle and I ran in the circle. And of course I got kicked in the face, right? She's not taking that onto herself as she's the problem. She's getting she's getting attention for her hurt. And so it moves her into a space of healing where she's like, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And it gives her, most importantly, courage then to go continue to play and kind of roughhouse with dad in a way that's going to be safe. And she knows that she can face pain even in the future because she can heal. So I think that's a really great example of that one. Lonely would be another one here, right? I feel lonely with somebody. It's like, my heart's just showing me with this feeling that I need to be known. And so now I can actually reach for connection. I can reach for what's the thing that I want to be known in that I'm not known in. And if I can get that need met with a friend in a healthy way, and importantly with God here too, it creates intimacy, right? And a lot of us were like, man, I want to feel more connected and close to my friends and with God and even with myself. It's like, start with you're lonely. Where are you lonely with God? I have a friend, man, he feels so left behind in his relational life. And like, it feels like that's directly connected to God. And so a lot of the work with him has been like, man, talk to God about how lonely it is to be with him. And slowly and surely God shows up and like blows his mind. He's like, dude, I just had this experience with Jesus this morning. It's like, yeah, he wants to know you. He wants to be with you, right? And then it creates more intimacy with him in the Lord, which is really cool. And the same with friends. This is the same way it goes. So if I reach for my friend out of my loneliness to get that need met in a healthy way and I get known, it'll give me that gift of intimacy with friends, This has been so much of my work. I've got so much lonely in my heart. I gotta be an adult and get my needs met in a healthy way. And that looks like, hey man, you got 10 minutes this afternoon, or you got an hour this afternoon, I'd love to hang, So these are the impairments and the curses and the needs and the gifts of the feelings that are happening inside of our heart. This is why there's the core 8. You might use other words to describe what you're feeling. That's totally fine, but it all boils down to one of these 8. And when that's going there, how do I respond in a healthy way to get that need met? And if I do, it'll feel real good as I step into some of these gifts over here. So those are the core 8. Of course, if it stays in your head as rhetoric, as information, it'll never do you any good. So here's the exercise for the core 8 feelings, is schedule a time for yourself once a week, once a day, to do a check-in with your heart. Use a journal for this because it's helpful for you to write. There's a brain-body connection there. And basically, you're just going like, what feelings are true inside of you? You're asking yourself, hey, heart, what feelings are true inside of you today? Sometimes it's helpful to kind of personify some of these things just to work through it for the first time. And when we say what's true inside of you, what we mean is, does it exist or does it not exist? And so what you're going to do is you're going to first, number 1 here is check in with your charge. Remember back to here, charge, you're just going to be like, where am I? You're like, dude, I'm at an 8. I'm almost at a 9. I'm at a 10. I'm going to throw a chair through a window. Guess what? It's not time to do feelings work. And actually, you're doing it by going, I'm at a high charge. I'm going to go get inside of my body to bring my charge back down to window of tolerance. It's really healthy. Or you're going to be like, man, I'm like numb, super numb. It's be really hard to show up to your kids and have an intimate, connected heart relationship with them if you're numb, or your spouse, right? Or your friends or God. And so it's going to be, okay, how do I work to get my heart back to my window of tolerance? So first thing, you're going to just acknowledge your charge. What is it? Write the number. Nothing more. Just make it simple. I'm at a 6. Cool. There's about reflection here. The next thing is you're going to say, what's my stack? So think of it this way, like the stack of these feelings that are going on. You're going to have multiple of these going on inside of you. You're not going to judge them. You're not going to make any sense of them. You're just going to be like, oh, I've got hurt in me right now. I've got some lonely in me right now. Oh, there's a bit of shame there. I'm also kind of glad about that. Yeah, okay. And so you're just going to write down, what is your stack? What feelings are there? All it could be one, it could be one or two, or it could be all eight, right? And you're just gonna write them down. And then you're gonna reflect on what's my top plate. So which one is the top of the stack? Which one stands out ahead of the rest of them? Maybe it's like for me the other day, it was like I said, I had fear, shame, and anger going on inside of me. And fear was kind of that one out in front leading the pack. It was like, okay, so fear is kind of the main thing that's going on inside. Oh, there's a bunch of them connected, but that one's kind of out in the front there. And so I'm gonna write that down. My top plate is this. And then number 4, this is where it's really important here, is you're just gonna reflect. You're gonna ask yourself, how can I get the need of my heart's feelings met in a healthy way? And that's going to be with God, and that's going to be with others, because you can't do it on your own necessarily. And so if the example with my top plate is fear there, it's like I'm afraid of being harmed physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. What is that about? Who's involved? And what can I do to, let's see what's fear over here. How do I get refuge and protection, security, a plan, something in place to help me feel a bit more safe with my fear? What's a healthy way to get that done? And what's that going to look like with God? What's it going to look like with others? And then the next thing is you actually go do it, right? Don't just let it sit around in your head. Like you got to go send that text message, make that call, create that plan, ask for the help in the way you need help, whatever it is. And as you do that, you'll begin to move into the faith and wisdom that is available on the healthy side of your fear. The wisdom there is like, because there's something I'm afraid of, I can make a plan that's going to be wise. If I'm going to go rappel off a cliff, I walk to the cliff, I should be afraid because I could die if I go over the edge. I'm going to build a rappel anchor and system in a wise way that's going to be strong and secure. I'm going to double check it, triple check it. I'm going to have someone else look at it, make sure it's good. That's wisdom. And then it's going to give me the gift of faith to actually put my body onto that rappelling system, rappel over the edge of the cliff, and be okay. I have to have faith to exercise that, right? And so that's what it looks like to do good, healthy heart work. And as you do this, you'll begin to nourish that part of your spiritual anatomy, your heart, which then blossoms into the integration of all 4, so you can feel more connected to God, you can feel more connected to yourself, you can feel more connected to others. For the sake of others, you can step into purpose and calling of like, I have so much of me to give to the world now. And in that too, where we have those crazy thoughts, those feelings that are out of control, we can get the needs met in a healthy way, and they don't run and ruin the show anymore. Like this is the importance of really good heart work. I'm a living testimony, man. I was a mess inside, an absolute mess inside. I keep my house clean because inside of me is chaos, and this is where it starts, you know. Like, oh, it's not just aimless spinning inside of myself. Like, no, there's fear in there. There's some shame in there. Okay. Like, oh yeah, I'm a limited human. I can't do everything. Oh, that is really scary, actually. Okay. What would it look like to get some protection in that for myself? Like, okay, how do I do that in a healthy way now? Like, so much is available for us in this. Okay. As I've said the last 3 videos or whatever it is, remember kindness, y'all. Kindness, kindness, kindness. Be kind with yourself. You're not going, oh, why am I afraid? I shouldn't be afraid. It's stupid. It's not a big deal. I shouldn't be hurt. I just kicked the chair. It's not like, no, like, be kind. Please. Be kind with yourself. Be kind with others. God is kind with you. You must do it this way or you will be stuck. You must be kind. Even when that's shame, like, oh, I feel shame. Ah, oh, makes sense, man. You're not perfect. You're a limited human. Okay, it's going to give me the gift of humility. Right. Thanks, God, for doing what I can't do. You know, I'm just painting examples here. All right, and as usual, if this is something you want to dive further into, man, let's jumpstart this together with a free one-on-one session. One thing that people find really helpful is once I explain some of this healing stuff, we just pick a situation that's going on in the last week. And I go, okay, like, tell me what feelings are there. And they go, this, that, and the other. Da, da, da. Okay, what's the top plate? This one's the top plate. Like, great. Like, what is that connected to? What did you need in that moment? That's like, I just start to ask these kind of open-ended questions that help that person reflect for themselves. And what it does is it leads to the things I've written on this is like, man, we do that in a safe way. Like, you don't got to go somewhere you're not ready to go yet. I always set that up. Like that is everything is by invitation. And if it's not, it's probably not very healthy. You don't have to go alone, right? Like you don't have to be the one figuring out what to do with this feeling. It's like, I'll guide you step by step as we go along together. And then when this is true just in general, and it's even better with others, when we can address that feeling, it leads to the gift. It feels good in the end, and that's where that relief comes from. I don't have to make it happen on my own. So that's the kind of things that happens in these one-on-one sessions, and I'm really trying to prove the value of this right now. So that's why I'm offering these. So if you're someone who's like, I'm ready to go deep, like, let's do it. Book a session wherever the button is around the video, schedule a time with me, and we'll meet you where you're at, and you can walk away with what you need right now. All right, that is it for pathway number 2. I'll see you in the next one for pathway number 3.